What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with Miss Angela Box once again. Now, this is like a part two to the conversation that we had the last time. Last time she was here, we was talking about the election. And if not mistaken, Angela, you said you had supported Ted Cruz at the time, correct?
I did at the time. Gosh, it's been a while since we talked. So thanks for having me back.
Yes, it's been about a year. So a lot has transpired since the last time we've talked. Election is over with. Now Donald Trump is the president of the United States, haven't made his 100 days yet. What is your opinion about that?
Well, I think that in spite of the continual media onslaught trying to destroy him, and that would include inside Washington, D.C. as well, I think he's made some remarkable steps. We're on our way to getting the border wall done. Regulations are getting slashed. We're going to get the Keystone and the DPAL pipelines going. Hopefully tax reform is on the horizon. We're going to get Obamacare repealed as soon as the Republicans can come together and come up with a solution that doesn't involve telling the American people, you can see it when we're done with the bill, like the Democrats did. So I think, and then the stuff going on with the BS Russia-Trump connection, which I just think is, hey man, he was not wrong when he tweeted out that he was being surveilled, and this is just getting started. So overall, I think in spite of the onslaught, he's just plowing ahead. He's undoing Obama, and I applaud him for that.
All right, let's walk through a lot of things that Donald Trump has done so far. Let's talk about the original Muslim ban. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so it wasn't a Muslim ban.
Well, for the most part, it was Muslim-operated countries, so we'll get to the rest of that. But a travel ban. Let's call it travel ban. Let's call it travel ban.
Flip with that, because as you know, the original 7 countries were identified by Barack Obama.
Yes, we know that.
Yeah, and there are over 57 Muslim-majority countries, so it was not a Muslim ban.
Well, travel ban. Let's call it travel ban, but it's mostly Muslim-dominated countries, correct?
It's called extreme vetting.
But was it Muslim-dominated countries, Angela?
I would say Muslim-majority countries.
Okay, so that's why it was coined. That's why it was coined the Muslim ban. But we can call it travel ban. Look, we can call it travel ban. We can call it Obama identified those countries. I'm not arguing with you there. That's the truth. He did identify those countries. So what do you think about that?
I think more countries need to be on that list. Frankly, I think whatever we can do to stop what is going on in Europe and Russia yesterday, I think we have to do whatever is possible, because demographically, Europe is finished. They're quickly becoming Islamified, and it is a non-assimilation of many parts in Europe, and you can see that with no-go zones and Sharia courts being set up in Great Britain and in Germany, and these are problems. And I'm not saying it's the normal everyday Muslim. But again, you're not seeing the uprising of normal everyday Muslims trying to put a stop to, implementation of Sharia and all the other things that we have been sounding the alarm about for years. I think that Western civilization deserves to be saved. I think that if you want to come to this country, you need to assimilate to this country. That means learning the language and learning our culture. You assimilate to us. We do not assimilate to you. And right now we have a situation in the world where, like it or not, 99% of all terror attacks are committed using Islam as their justification. So we have to look at every means possible. And again, I would put more than 7 countries on that list, but
okay,
that's a good start.
That's and you said a lot of stuff I really want to touch on. Let's go back to the original thing. So, do you realize that the second version of it, because the first one was stopped, the second version that came out of the travel ban, Iraq was taken off. You know that?
Right.
Okay, and what was the reason they was taken off?
I think because of the work we've been doing with the Iraqi government. I'm not exactly sure I agree.
Okay, I'll tell you why, if you don't know. The Iraqi government paid a lobbyist here in America $40,000 to lobby the White House to get off of that ban, and that's how that happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, no, this is all the reports. This is all the reports, Angela.
But I love how you refuse to talk about the Clinton Foundation stuff during during the election, but that's okay. That's not the reason why.
Look, right now, Angela, I can care less what Hillary and Bill do. Whatever they do right now is ain't an issue. They not even the president. Trump is. So that's not even an issue anymore for me. Now, what I'm saying is, why isn't Saudi Arabia was not put on that list, and it's still not on a list, even though all the 9/11 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia?
I agree with you on that. I think this list needs to be expanded. I don't have a problem putting more countries on the list. Unfortunately, we have a situation, like it or not, and this gets into like the oil story and the conspiracy about that, and who knows? But of course, Saudi Arabia supplies us with a lot of energy. Until we become energy independent, it's a little bit of a tricky situation. But I'm with you. I think they should be on the list.
Well, I can tell you about definitely a lot about the petrochemical industry, and I can tell you America has enough oil than what it needs, and we use more domestic oil now than we ever have. That's why our gas prices that really went down a lot. So we don't really need Saudi Arabia, but it's a lot of people, and this you can look into this, stated that, well, you know, Mr. Trump has a lot of businesses going on in Saudi Arabia, and banning them would affect that.
Again with the conspiracy.
It's not conspiracy theory. You can look online and find his businesses.
Here's the thing with Saudi Arabia and our oil. The last president shut down drilling in all public lands. The only reason there has been any drilling at all in this country is because of private companies who Barack Obama tried to throttle, as we know, when he said he wanted to put the coal and oil industries out of business. So enough with conspiracy theories. Let's talk. Go to your next subject.
So you say that there's no way we can verify Donald Trump don't have businesses in Saudi Arabia. That's a conspiracy theory. Okay, so you can't say that's conspiracy theory. Well, let's stop right there, Angela. I'm not left. I'm not right. I am none of that. I tell people my political position is permanent friends, permanent enemies, permanent interests. That's me. I don't side with political party. I side with my community and what it could do to better itself. Now, don't say the left.
If there is proof that the reason that Trump did not put Saudi Arabia on a list is because of his companies, which is what the media and CNN and MSNBC are promoting. Now, look, if there's validity to that, let it all come out. I don't think that's the reason why, but I'm with you. I think they should be on the list.
Okay, so you mentioned Europe and Western civilization. Define to me what is Western civilization.
Western civilization, the civilization that gave us Rome and the Parthenon and Shakespeare and America. Western civilization is crumbling right before our eyes, and I know what you're trying to get me to say.
Well, what am I trying to get you to say?
Well, you're putting the dog whistle there because you're saying that because I'm saying Western civilization, I mean white people and white civilization, and that's not what I mean. I'm talking about the civilization that brought us civilized people, and I'm not saying other people are not civilized. I'm not saying that at all. But if you look in other parts of the world that are not considered Western parts of the world, if you could third world countries, if you will, it's kind of in a rough position. Capitalism, the rule of law, the Magna Carta, which was started in 1216 in Great Britain, these are the documents and the bedrock of Western civilization, and that's all anyone is ever saying.
See, I didn't accuse you of saying anything. You spoke. Well, but you're assuming. You assuming what I'm doing. See, to me, Angela, that may be some guilt there. Why did you say that?
Guilt. I'm used to people in the media trying to blow
you're not. I'm not blowing anything, Angela. I'm just saying that when you say Western civilization, do you realize that you just confirmed that it means Caucasian? Because I didn't hear.
I didn't see again. There's your dog whistle. That's not what I said. So you're not.
Yeah, you said Rome. Listen to what you said. That's what repeat it. Angela, let's listen to what you just said. I'm going to repeat what you said. You said Rome. You said America. You mentioned a lot of European countries. Now, if you'd have said, listen, America and the Caucasian people, melanated people, Hispanic, Asian, Arab, all these different, the melting pot, then that would be one thing I say, okay, American civilization.
Stop. The idea of America before the left took over was a melting pot, not a salad bowl with 47 different cultures and languages. When I say America, I'm talking about America as it has evolved, which is to mean a melting pot. If you come here the right way and you assimilate, I am tired of having to defend assimilation and how somehow assimilation is considered racist, because it is not. Because if you go to any other country in the world, you damn well better learn their language, and you damn well better follow their laws and assimilate to their culture, or you're not going to have much of a life there at all. But in America, we give you free everything. You break our laws, sure, come in. Oh, the taxpayers will pay for it, no problem. That's all I'm saying. Is this assimilation and Western civilization is something that should be preserved? And I mean, you look at what ISIS is doing in Iraq, for example, ruining hundreds of, or not hundreds, thousands of year old statues and antiquities, blowing them up. ISIS saying they want to fly the flag of ISIS over the Vatican. These people are demons, and more people around the world are succumbing to their ideology. And that's white people, black people, Hispanic people, people who are all succumbing to this radical Islamist ideology that is antithetical to Western civilization. And so when I say save Western civilization, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, let me respond to you without you cutting me off, interrupting me. I stay quiet and let you speak. Okay, so you're talking about assimilation, and we hear that word a lot, but we seem like the assimilation isn't assimilation to different cultures. Like, for instance, if I go to a predominantly Hispanic community and if they speak more Spanish, then I either learn the Spanish or, I kind of figure out a way to communicate. If I go to an Asian area, if I go to wherever I go to, I kind of try to learn the customs, who they are or whatever. But it seems like that in this country, we have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and all this others allegedly have that sort of thing. But yet everyone needs to go along with what I'm going to say those who are in the dominance in population, what they say. Well, you need to speak this language and not that language. Now, I agree. Everyone should know how to speak the language to communicate. I agree with that. Everyone should follow the law of the land. I agree with that. But you can't just tell people that they got to literally assimilate to what you think, your religion, your culture, what you think, and not agree with them. That's not right.
But you're misunderstanding my point. When we're talking about the official government of the United States or official community standards, English is spoken in America, and you better know English, and you better not expect. When I'm talking about people not assimilating, it's not that we say you have to stop being Hispanic, you have to stop being Indian, or you have to stop being Venezuelan. That's not what we're saying. We're saying you are in America, so there are certain norms and customs that Americans do, like speaking English, like driving on the right side of the road, following the law, coming to this country legally, supporting yourself, not being a burden on taxpayers. Not in your home, not shutting down all of your culture. No one has ever said that, because America is a melting pot, and I'm all for that. But I'm not for a salad bowl. All these balkanizations, which what the left likes to do, and I'm not saying you're the left. I'm just speaking in generalities. The left likes to balkanize us, because the more they can keep us separated, the more they can get everyone to kind of go against each other. And that's my point. You don't like if I move to Mexico. I'm still going to be an American, right? But I would assimilate to Mexican culture, and I would speak Spanish. I wouldn't expect Mexicans to speak English for me. But in this country, no. There's 45 languages on a voter ID form. You get welfare if you come in here illegally, and not only that, we'll put it in Spanish for you. There are so many ass-backwards things in this country that the left has perpetrated. It is going to take generations to unravel them. And to come back to Trump, that is why so many people are out for blood with this guy, because he's coming in and just knocking everything down, and that includes Republicans who want amnesty, who want open borders, who are in bed with the agribusiness, and who are in bed with the construction business, and who do not want the border secure. So the American people kind of stand alone, and we understand what Trump is doing, and we understand what it means to assimilate, and we're not going to be balkanized any further. And I just think that when you say the word assimilate, a lot of people like you're trying to differentiate my comments. You're trying to make it sound like that's a racist construct.
I didn't use race, Angela. Now I'm going to say something. I didn't say race. But I'm the one retorting the assimilation, because when it comes to me is that, oh, you must follow us and our culture and what we think, because from what I've seen and just talking to a lot of Caucasian people, a lot of them don't like different languages spoken around them. They feel uneasy about it. Me, I can care less just language speak around me. It ain't my business. If I want to learn your language, I go get a Rosetta Stone and learn your language. I don't care like that. As long as you don't harm me or do nothing to me. And you talking about these other people coming into the country, well, they got to follow traffic laws. They got to follow the basic laws. I mean, they have to do that or they're going to go to jail like anyone else. So then you mentioned welfare. You know, so-called Americans get more welfare than anybody?
Sure, absolutely. But that doesn't justify illegals getting it or immigrants.
It don't justify Americans getting it either.
You know what? I completely agree. There must be reform. But you know, Barack Obama took out the work requirement in the welfare bill that actually Bill Clinton was forced to put in 1996. When Newt Gingrich in the Republican Congress said, you better put this in there. He vetoed it 3 times. Finally, he relented and they put the work provision into the welfare bill, and Barack Obama took it out. So now we have, more collapsing of society, and there's a lot to put back. I mean, Barack Obama, the media rejoices over him and thinks he's the greatest thing in the world. He did a great amount of destruction in a very short amount of time. And when he talked about fundamental transformation, he wasn't kidding. And as he sashays around with his 50 closest male buddies in French Polynesia for a month, he could think about the damage he's wrought, and he laughs because he has no love for this country. I assure you that.
Does that bother you, Angela, that Barack Obama's enjoying his vacation?
That he's with his 50 closest male friends in French Polynesia for a month? Seems odd to me. I dare say maybe Barack is inching out of something. I could be wrong.
Really?
Just saying.
Oh my God. Okay. Why? Okay. Well, it's you mentioning that we were talking about earlier the welfare, but you know who benefit the most off of welfare?
I know, and white people, yes. As a percentage, yes.
Okay, well, let's go. Let's talk about you talking about Barack Obama and what he has done. Listen, I've said many times I don't agree with everything Barack Obama has done, but when you talk about repeal Obamacare, why is it that 20 million people in these rural areas that's part of the Caucasian community, which you represent, would never been covered if they wouldn't have had Obamacare? Please explain that to me.
Okay, so you're talking about 20 million people
yes.
who are on a system now that is absolutely imploding. You're not even talking about the millions of people thrown off of their plans after the president promised 27 times that if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Your premiums are going to drop $2,500 a year. BS. Not only that, I can't even afford insurance. I am a single woman who has a 1099. I can't afford it. So I'm waiting for the day when the Republicans step up and do what they said they were going to do and repeal this disaster and put something in place that is free market driven and that allows consumers choices and also allows for people with pre-existing conditions to continue to get some care. Because here's the problem with Obamacare. Not only did they give a one-size-fits-all and you must buy this, not only did they do that and it was astronomically high, but of course the pool that they were assuming would buy into Obamacare didn't buy into it, because healthy people like me are not going to spend $500 a month and a $5,000 deductible to cover someone, who's 400 pounds, smokes, and has tons of health problems. It's not fair and it's not right. So the free market must dictate our health care. Listen, I am all for getting a catastrophic plan, paying $50-$60 a month, having a once-a-year well woman. That would probably do me just fine. And that would do a lot of people fine. So getting it across state lines, increasing competition that way. It is a problem that got so much worse because of Obamacare. It's just, some people are like, why can't we just go back to the HMOs? And the irony is, of course, is that Ted Kennedy was the one who proposed the HMOs, I believe, in the 70s. And that wasn't a perfect system either. But God, I remember when I was teaching paying $15 for a visit, $10 for a prescription, and paying into my insurance fund every month. Those days are over. People cannot afford this, and that's why it's collapsing.
Well, Angela, before I get any further, something you said that it really kind of bothered me when you was mentioning people you paying more premium and stuff like that. You mentioned someone is possibly 400 pounds and smoke. Angela, somebody could be right now, be that weight listening to you say that, and they would be really bothered by what you said. Maybe they don't smoke. Maybe they don't smoke.
Is that not? I'm sorry.
Well, no, well, Angela, that's the kind of society we go in. We don't have to insult people to get our points across. No, but you never know who's listening, Angela. That's what I'm saying. You never know who's listening or gonna watch. You don't want them to get a view of you as someone that, oh, she just want to talk about people who possibly have a weight issue. That's the only thing I'm saying.
I am a person who has fought the fat my whole life, and I fight it every day, and that is no joke. I have had times in my life where I was quite a bit heavier, so I know of what I speak. But it's also not. It's not, you can't walk around on eggshells and trying not to hurt people's feelings. Again, if you're 400 pounds and smoke, these are your choices that you've made. They're not my choices, they're your choices. And so someone else should not have to pay for them. Now, I'm not saying that someone who is 400 pounds and smokes should not have access to health care or insurance. I don't believe that that's true. But because of their issues, that they're going to be paying a higher premium than someone who doesn't have those issues.
But basically, you blame them, Angela. But you blame them for higher premiums. They could be someone your size that smoke, or someone your size. I've known people speak your size that have high blood pressure. I'm just saying that issue. Well, yeah, I'm harping on it because we don't want to point blame at people for health issues.
I'm talking about people with certain issues. Epilepsy. I have asthma. That could be considered a pre-existing condition. Like you said, blood pressure, diabetes. My point is they have conditions. Some of them are their choice, some of them not. But other people should not have to supplement their health care. So we need to get back to a free market system so that individuals can go, you know what? I don't think I need 4 times a year doctor visits. I don't need to pay $5 for, I don't have prescriptions. I don't need to pay $10 a month for prescriptions, so my premium can be lower. People need to be put back in charge of their own healthcare choices. And by you harping on me saying someone who's 400 pounds and smokes, you're missing the bigger picture. And what I'm saying is that people are responsible, by and large, for many of their health choices. Some of them not, but other people should not be responsible for paying for their health choices.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm just being responsible with my audience and letting people know that, hey, we don't want to point blame at one group of people when all kind of people, whether you're small or different sizes, can have health conditions. Now, on jobs, you will know that every year, at least that I know, the health care goes up every year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Now, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, yes, it has a high deductible. I agree with that. I seen that. I didn't like the IRS penalty part of it either. I didn't like that. But I thought that it still could be a good thing. It just needs to be fixed. That's it. We don't have to throw it in the trash and then give something else that's going to take away health care from many people and benefit the insurance companies, because really the insurance companies is the problem. If you really want to know, the insurance company cartel is the one that was denying people with pre-existing conditions. If you're in the hospital getting a bunch of cancer treatment, say, oh, you use your money, bye, we're cutting you off. And now they can't do that.
Okay, so there's got to be a happy medium where we don't completely demonize the government and we don't completely demonize the private healthcare industry, because they are a business. And if you'll understand that sometimes the companies have no choice but to do certain things because of governmental regulations, like on their back. If they try and develop a drug, it takes 25 years and $4 billion when we can go across the border and get the same drug in Canada. And Trump is actually working to streamline the FDA process, which I'm assuming we can all agree that that's a good thing.
Oh, I'm not complaining on that. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And nobody, not any Republican or Democrat, has said, obviously not Democrats, but no single Republican has said that we're going to cut people off from their health insurance while this is being implemented. The whole idea was to get something in place and then have a grace period so those people could transition to different programs. And you're talking, and a lot of Obamacare, and this is the big dirty secret, a lot of Obamacare's high costs are coming from the Medicare expansion and the Medicaid expansion, and that's getting ready to go bye-bye for those states. So the states that took the Obamacare exemption for 2 or 3 years, their costs are getting ready to explode, and they're going basically from one provider, let's say United Health. United Health's like, I can't do this anymore. We can't stay in business doing this. They're going to go bye-bye. So the Democrats' big dream of socialized medicine, it they wanted a one-payer system. They wanted to get there with the government, but it has just been proven such a disaster. In a country this size, it will not work. We see it in the VA system. My boyfriend's father is going through some health issues, and he goes to the VA, and he's so discouraged because every time he goes there, it's hours to wait for anything. And, this is a veteran. And he says, I never see the same doctor, ever. The doctor doesn't know anything about him. It's very impersonal. And I don't think any of us want a system where you have to wait 6 hours in an emergency room setting to see someone who doesn't know you, who doesn't know your ailments, who doesn't know anything about you. And I just think there's a much better way than either what the Republicans tried to shove down our throats 2 weeks ago, and certainly what Obamacare is. So hopefully we can get something on the table that conservatives can agree on, moderates can agree on. I mean, Democrats are never going to agree on it, so I don't care about them, honestly.
Well, my opinion about the VA, I personally think it should be shut down and every veteran given free insurance for life to go to private doctors. That's my opinion about it.
Well, so Donald Trump wants to do that. They want to give the veterans an option to take a private voucher or to use the VA system. He's already working on that.
Yeah, because every veteran I know, that I have some personally in my family that it's just it's ridiculous what they go through, and they over medicate them. I had one VA doctor come on my show, and how some of the foreign doctors are talking crap about the veterans there, and yet our government paid for them to come in here. So it's all kind of stuff going on that I disagree with it at VA. But you said something I really need to touch on. You think that the only kind of terrorism that's ever going on is the radical Islamic terrorism? Is that your position?
99% of it.
So do you realize that most of the terrorist attacks that's happened after 9/11 has been American citizens? You know that, right?
Okay. So what are you equating a terrorist attack? You're going to say like Dylan Roof.
That is terrorism.
Like Dylan Roof.
That's terrorism.
Okay. So I would agree that is a racist act of domestic terrorism. We do not have a disagreement on that. However, Dylan Roof was motivated not in a gross sense of the word by Christianity, because he did not claim Christianity. We're talking about a group of people, and I'm not trying to elucidate my words to speak slowly. I want to get my point across. They all believe in the same thing. Now you're going to get Islamic people who say they don't follow what real Islam teaches. Well, then, my friends, Islam needs a reform desperately, just like Christianity has, like Judaism has. I don't know about Buddhism or Hinduism. I'm not totally familiar with those. But the two Judeo-Christian religions, the great ones in our world, have both had reformations. And if the majority of Muslims, as they all claim to be moderates, then the moderates need to expel the crazies from their ranks and have a real reformation of Islam. But we're not seeing that. And my point is that 99% of all the terrorism going on in the world is committed by Muslim terrorists, like it or not.
So bombing people's countries to an oblivion, was that Muslims doing that?
So are you trying to justify?
No. I don't justify. I don't. Hold on, ma'am. Hold on. Let me tell you something. I don't justify the killing of no people. None. I don't care about your color, your religion. Nobody. No innocent life should be lost. That's my position on human life. So we want to make that clear. But you was talking about. You said Dylan Roof. You talked about Islam and how they should get rid of their people and their religion that's doing some horrible stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's not just a few of them, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, all right. So a lot of people who believe in this, racist hate groups, a lot of them subscribe to the Christian religion. Most of them do, for the most part. And yet I haven't seen a lot of people within the white Christian or Caucasian Christian group expel them. Why is that?
So let me know when people in white hoods start doing subway bombings and beheading people and screaming, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. before they blow themselves up and other people. That isn't happening. They are shouting Allahu Akbar before they do that. So enough with your
basically what happened in New York. So basically what happened in New York last week, we had a guy named James Jackson went to New York, and he was looking to kill a black person because he didn't like them dating any white women, and he was a full-fledged, that is terrorism. Any person that uses an act of violence on a political means, and white supremacy is a political mean. I don't care what you say, it's political motivated.
Okay, so again, we're not talking on a massive scale. You're giving me one instance, two instances.
Okay, Timothy McVeigh, that wasn't massive?
Yes, and they're going to be probably getting the death penalty. I don't know about the story you're talking about, but of course he's going to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But it's not Muslim terror. Muslim terror is a worldwide phenomenon, and to act like it's not is doing what Barack Obama
I didn't say they didn't have terrorists all over the world. They did not come out of my mouth not one time. But what I'm trying to get you to realize is this: it's not the same thing because you don't want to label it equally.
It's not the same thing because it's not the same thing. You're talking about daffodils and roses. It's not the same thing.
Has Muslim Islamic terrorists killed thousands upon thousands of people? Have they done that?
Yes, they certainly have.
Okay, well, give me the list of names.
Okay, why don't you go Google?
You don't want to make an accusation.
9/11. They're updated daily. It's in the thousands. We're talking about people over in Africa right now, taking little Christian girls, kidnapping them into Boko Haram, cutting off their genitals, women being stoned to death. Let's see, gays being thrown off of buildings, and they all subscribe to one religion, and it's not Christianity. And you want to talk about Christian persecution over in the Middle East and in Africa? I had a cab driver, an Uber driver, 3 nights ago, great guy, Catholic from Nigeria. He said, it is so horrible over there. The Islamists used to be, they were in the northern part of Africa. They are going further and further south. And he goes, it is horrific what they are doing to Christians. So no, it's not the same.
That's kind of strange because I could have sworn that in this country alone, which Caucasian people didn't come here legally. Last time I checked, the Native Americans didn't get immigration.
America then.
Wow, really? Really? There was no such thing. So wait a minute. Under Christianity, hold on. You gotta stop, Angela. I'll let you talk. Now I gotta talk. For 246 years in this country, it was Christian people who enslaved people. 100 years of Jim Crow. It's a bunch of Christian people who done that. You Democrats, it was Caucasian. I can care less. It's Democrat, troglodyte, whatever word you want to call them.
Democrat.
Period.
Also of the Klan.
Period. It wasn't no other group of people. So, and then also all the police killings that a lot of Caucasians justify because they took off the Klan hoods and put on police badges.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. Speaking of the Black Lives Matter stuff.
I don't even talk about Black Lives Matter on my platform.
No, I wanted to bring this up with you because I do have to go soon because I have to get back to work.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I wanted to bring this up with you. I have noticed that since they do not have an enabler-in-chief anymore, a little social justice warrior community organizer named Barack Obama, the Black Lives Matter people haven't been able to tantrum nearly as much, but I'm sure that they will find something to tantrum about soon. Except this time they won't be able to riot and cause mayhem and burn down cities because there's a new sheriff in town.
Well, actually, Donald Trump is not really bothering the black community. Actually, it's more Caucasian people that's upset with Trump, and they are actually rioting, which we've seen it at Berkeley.
Yeah, the leftists, the crazy nut jobs, who are the same people as Black Lives Matter, and don't kid yourself to thinking they're not the same groups.
So what I'm saying is you see big women's marches. That's not made up of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter organize women's marches. What are you talking about?
Oh, please. The women's marches, listen, the women's marches with their foam vaginas and talking about blood on the sheets, it is a conglomerate of every leftist group you could imagine. They had the Palestinians there. They had the hijab wearers there. They had the Black Lives Matter people there. They had every leftist front group, the communists, the socialists, the Marxists, and they all came together. See, they don't know. They're just raging, and it's so funny to me to watch. I'm like, keep it up, guys. Please keep it up. But like I said, that the Black Lives Matter groups are just regrouping. They need a little more George Soros money, who is funding them, by the way, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. They just need to kind of regroup and figure out what's their next tactic. How can we hashtag resist? I'm sure they'll think of something.
Well, I don't hope Black Lives Matter do nothing. I tell all people, especially within my community, sit down, don't protest, don't do anything. Let y'all deal with Trump. That's how I say it.
Listen, I think Trump, if people would give him a chance, is going to be great for all Americans, regardless of your skin color. Because when people get back to work, that's going to be great. And jobs are already, manufacturing is up. Illegal immigration is down. We haven't even started the wall yet, down 67% from this time last year. Manufacturing's up like 50% from this time last year. So things are happening. You're not hearing about them in the media because the media is focused on something they invented. But that's all going to come out.
You mentioned manufacturing jobs, but those jobs not going to really come back like they used to because automation cut out a lot of people. And you mentioned a border wall. When it comes to that, the government is going to take a lot of people's property to do that on eminent domain laws.
It's not going to be an eminent domain situation. It's going to be, well, I mean, in the broadest of sense, they will get paid to have that fence going across their property. But I guarantee you, if you polled an Arizona rancher or a Texas rancher or just someone living on the border who has their property trampled upon and feces and urine and bags of trash thrown on their property and bangs on the door demanding food and clothing, I think that they would be fine with that wall going across their property.
That's not what I saw the other day. There's some people, actually Caucasian people in Brownsville, that was very upset around the first fence, and now they're going to lose more of their land if they put up the wall. And that's their farmland. That's how they make their money.
Then if they're the holdouts, then all the illegals can try and traipse through their property. That'll be good for them.
Well, Angela, it's like this. When you talk about illegal immigration, I know you don't. Some people don't like it, but even if you threw all 11 million of them out, they average about. Well, excuse me.
That number has been the magic number for 15 years.
Okay, well, whatever number you want to come up with, whatever million you want to come up with. Okay, so all of them have children. They use around 2.5 to 3 children. So even if you threw every last one of them out, you still have their replacements probably times 2 or 3 here. So this is what I say, Angela. Let's try to get along with people because at the end of the day, the demographics are changing whether you like it or not. This quote unquote Western civilization is not going to be the leader of the world anymore. Whether you said yourself, Europe is done. It came out of your mouth. We know about the birth rate issue that's going on within the Caucasian community globally. They're not having children. So don't you think we maybe need to get along a little bit more with other people since the demographics going to change?
I don't think there's any problem with getting along with people. I think that the problem that a lot of people who voted for Trump are having a problem with is, again, the blatant disregard for the rule of law. People coming here specifically to pop out kids, and that happens every single day. People sending their children across the border to squat there and then, we'll get you over later. This is happening every single day, and people are so fed up with it. And I'm telling you, that is the number one issue that got Trump elected.
So Angela, you ever heard of a thing called a Head Right Act? You ever heard about that?
No.
Okay. Well, long time ago, to get more white people here, they would say, if you come here and have children, we give you 50 acres of land. So basically, the Head Right Act is happening all over again. They just not getting land.
Okay, actually, that is, again, with your bizarre analogies.
It's not bizarre. That did happen.
Current reality. No, it has nothing to do with it. They were trying to settle the land and bring people over to settle America. We already have 350 million, or how many there are 330 million people here. Now, what needs to happen is we need to do away with the concept of birthright citizenship if you are an illegal alien. Because in nowhere in the world can you be a citizen of another country, go over, pop out a baby, and then all of a sudden your baby is French. No, that is incorrect. Your child is of the origin or the country the parent is from. And so we need to do away with that. The 14th Amendment has been grossly misinterpreted. And so I think Congress needs to get on that. Toot sweet. That would help a lot. Also cutting off all welfare benefits, including schooling, to all illegal immigrants. That would also help.
And also,
punishing the hell out of employers that hire them. That would help.
now see, that's the one good thing you said about it, because notice they don't punish the employers for hiring them.
They do, but it needs to happen more
We don't see a mass jailing of business owners that's hiring them.
Should be. We need to talk about, $10,000 a head every time you hire an illegal. The problem is without E-Verify, which needs to be nationwide, and it's really hard for an employer sometimes. It actually is to know what documents are legitimate or not. But when E-Verify, I'm almost positive we have it in Texas. I would be surprised if we did not. But without E-Verify, there's the forgeries, the people that forge documents nowadays, they're good. They know what they're doing. So if an employer knowingly hires illegals, and it's kind of easy to figure out who the illegals are and who aren't. Number one, do they speak English? The answer is no. Okay, probably an illegal immigrant. I mean, the employers need to be held accountable.
There are Caucasian immigrants that come to this country from different European countries that can't really speak English that well either. You know that, right?
If they're illegal, they need to go.
Because actually, believe it or not, there's a lot of Caucasian immigrants here that come here on visas and don't go back.
That's right. 40% of all illegal immigrants are now on expired visa. 40%. That's an easy deport. Get out. Get them out. And all this crap about saying, oh, you don't want to separate families, do you? I'm sorry. Did I tell mommy to go break the law? No. Well, then mommy can take her kids back with her. So enough of this crap, too.
Oh, Angela, I guess you just don't care about people like that, I guess. You know, you got small children.
Yes.
When you got small children, listen, my thing is this, and
American citizens not being trampled upon, and the American taxpayer not being taken advantage of, and for kids in school to actually get an education, as opposed to having millions and millions of dollars diverted to English language programs. That's who I'm for.
They don't spend money on English language programs or for immigrants, none of that. You know, all the money go to in this country go to the war machine. Look at where they spend money at. They don't go to them. It don't even go to the people.
And on that note, that was a lovely diversionary segue.
How is that diversionary when I'm talking about that? Donald Trump just put out a budget. He wanted more money for the military. He didn't want money. Okay, well, why did you say we're spending millions of dollars on English language programs?
Let me explain something to you. Barack Obama decimated the military over the last 8 years. Decimated. You can look that up. And in English language programs, there is so much money in big education. The NEA is one of the most powerful lobbies in this country, one of those powerful unions in this country. Millions upon millions and millions of dollars goes to education, and we're getting worse. And when I was a teacher, I'll tell you a little quick story. I had, I'm not going to talk about my students or anything like that. I'm going to talk about simply the curriculum that we were presented. So every couple of years, education is a big business, and it is a big business, and they have vendors that would come in and try and sell different programs. So literally every 2 years, the district would switch up everything and be like, okay, that thing you were doing before, well, that's crap. Now we're going to do this new thing, and this new thing is what's going to be amazing. And let me explain to you what it does, not only to the teachers, but also to the students. It throws their head in a loop, because they're like, all of a sudden, wait a minute, you mean teaching the normal way how to multiply, that's not going to work anymore? I mean, you try if you meet a fourth grader and say, hey, teach me how to do a multiplication problem. See how they actually do it now. It is so mind-numbing. Math facts are verboten because you're not supposed to memorize things because that's not true knowledge. I mean, listen, I could talk for 25 minutes about the state of education, but the point is there's millions and millions and millions of dollars going to programs to service illegal immigrants and their children, and there should not be.
Well, there's a lot of programs in this country going to things that should not be if you want to go there. But what I'm saying is, you want to up the military, you want to go fight more wars. My thing is this: fight all the wars you want. Y'all want to be on this crusade against Islam, y'all do it. Just please leave the African American community out of it. We'll just sit home and let y'all fight that war. Because that's what y'all want to do. We're not pushing that.
For the black community succeeding, and so is Donald Trump. When everyone succeeds, everybody succeeds.
You're right. So we can't succeed if we fighting in Islam. That's the war y'all want to do. So y'all fight it.
Okay, I just I don't know how you can say that with a straight face.
I can't say that with a straight face because we in the African American community not worrying about Islam. We worrying about trying to stop what's happening to us here in this country.
If you're on a subway one day and there's a bomb and it's from a Muslim terrorist, whoops, then it affects you. You can't think like that. They are after every
Sure I can.
one of us because we're all infidels, and that's what people in Western civilization have to get through their heads. They don't give a crap if you're a liberal, Republican, Hispanic, black, white, Asian. They don't care. You're an infidel. Therefore, you must either convert or die. That is their ideology. That's what people have to get through their heads.
Well,
fascinating.
I can tell you from what I hear them say, they mostly focus on Western civilization. How about that? You know, that's who they're attacking. They're not attacking nobody else.
They're focused on Israel, Western civilization, and fellow Muslims in the Middle East who will not submit to their brutal brand of Islam. So again, a reformation needs to happen. ISIS is killing a lot of Muslims too. So I think Islam has to be honest with itself. The leaders of Islam, if they have like in the Catholic Church, we have the Pope. If they have in Protestant religions, they have certain bishops and ministers. They need to somehow find a way to all get together in leadership and really think about, okay, in the Quran, there are basically two parts of the Quran. It's not like the Old and New Testament, because in the Quran, like the early part, which, the nice Muslims are like, oh, but it's about peace and love and all this. Well, that's in the first part of the Quran. The second part of the Quran gets a little dicey. It's when Muhammad got very warlike and started, taking 6-year-old brides and raping women and cutting people's heads off and saying, we have to conquer. So,
Angela.
It's the truth. And
Angela.
Muslims believe in
Angela.
says the latter supersedes the former. I know a lot about this.
Angela, you read the Quran?
I know about abrogation. I know the first.
No. Did you read the Quran?
I have read many parts of it.
So you didn't read it? You didn't read it front to back?
No.
Okay. So basically, you're taking points that people have used to talk about, different people.
There are also points people are using to behead people around the world. So I guess I'm totally wrong, right?
I'm not saying a word about it. Like I said, if y'all want to go fight that, that's y'all business. In the African American community, we're not trying to fight no more wars for none of y'all. Go fight it.
All right. Well,
Hey, go fight it. You say Islam is y'all enemy. It's not our enemy. They not doing us nothing. Y'all don't want to go in them people's country.
The radical Muslims are not your enemy.
They're not. They're not. They didn't gun down Tamir Rice. They didn't choke out Eric Garner. They didn't do any of that, did they? Was it them?
Here we go.
You're right. You're right.
Doesn't matter.
You're right.
Fight the power.
Wait, you want to be funny like that if you want to, but at the end of the day, I'm not afraid of them. You are.
This is illuminating. Very illuminating.
Yeah, we're not afraid of those people. Y'all afraid of them.
The average police officer on the street, go right ahead.
Do what?
Do their job.
Do what?
And 9 times out of 10, they are good people that do their job.
What are you talking about now?
But now we have cops around the country who are afraid of their own shadows, and crime rates are going up and arrests are going down because they don't even want to deal. They don't want to deal with it. And why would they? Why would they? So communities are getting more crappy because police officers feel like they can't do their jobs anymore or they're going to get attacked. So,
Sure, they can do their jobs. They can do their jobs at any time. Sure, they can do their jobs. They can do it all day long. With body cams, if you do body cams nationwide, yeah, I think that solves a lot of problems for everybody.
It certainly should, and it should certainly shut up people like Al Sharpton when they find out that they were wrong about certain issues like Michael Brown, etc.
Wait, Angela, if anybody want to continue the conversation with you, how can they find you?
Okay, so it's at the Box That Rocks on Twitter. That's BOX, that, and then ROXX, which has nothing to do with X's. It just has to do with the fact that ROCKS was already taken. So it's at the Box That Rocks, ROXX.
All right.
Or Angela Box Public, but to interact, Twitter's better.
Okay, so if anybody else want to check her out as well, she's on Fox 26 as well with Isaiah Carey, right?
Yeah, my segment's kind of been on hiatus for a minute, but I'm still a contributor there, so hopefully back on soon.
All right, so we definitely want to thank you, Angela, for this engaging conversation.
Yes, it was lovely talking to you, and let's make it less than a year next time.
All right, have a good day.
All right.